A little over 5 years ago, United Airlines unveiled the Signature Interior, a new product that would be introduced across its mainline narrowbody fleet. While I've covered the updated economy class interior before, today we're experiencing the updated business class on a 3-hour journey from Cancun, Mexico back to Chicago on the Boeing 737 MAX 9. So without further delay, let's get to the airport and begin our journey back to the States. Buenos dias from Cancun International Airport's Terminal 3. I've already checked in online and verified my passport through the United app, so it's straight to security and passport control. Both formalities in Cancun, at least in Terminal 3, were very efficient, and I was through in just under 5 minutes. With around 2 hours to spare before my flight, I roamed around the terminal and did some last-minute souvenir shopping. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, I always love seeing local handicrafts and products being sold at airports, as it's something a lot more unique than the usual duty-free shops. Terminal 3 is Cancun's only terminal serving exclusively international flights, with some US, Canadian, and European airlines flying from here. What might intrigue you about Cancun Airport overall is that it is one of, if not the busiest international airport with services to the United States. Yes, we are in Cancun, Mexico right now, and you are indeed seeing 6 United aircraft lined up one by one, and this isn't even all of them. 9 US airlines serve Cancun Airport from a total of, wait for it, 49 US airports. That means not only are the major hub airports connected, but even smaller major cities like Oklahoma City, Indianapolis, Columbus, Providence, and somehow Colorado Springs. Many of the routes to smaller cities are seasonal, but it is incredible just how many American airports are served from here. Some of the airlines operating these routes are also quite bizarre, like Alaska Airlines' seasonal route from Kansas City, which, believe it or not, competes with 3 other airlines. And then there's also Breeze Airways' upcoming service from Richmond, Virginia. And the number of US airports served from Cancun is actually 50, but the odd one out is Memphis, which is not served by a US airline, but instead Mexican carrier Viva. While the US is clearly the biggest international market from the airport, Canada packs a punch of its own, with over 20 airports served nonstop from Cancun. Many of these routes see competition across multiple carriers, but WestJet alone apparently serves 23 Canadian airports, with many routes to smaller cities being seasonal. A lot of the cities that I saw on the list I couldn't even believe were big enough to support direct flights to Cancun, but I guess that's because I'm an uneducated American. That includes cities like Thunder Bay, Kelowna, Moncton, Fredericton, and Charlottetown. And surprisingly, in 2025, the busiest international destination from Cancun was not anywhere in the US like you'd expect. But maybe this was your second guess. It was Toronto Pearson, with just under 638,000 passengers. Now, Cancun, of course, also sees many flights to Europe, especially the UK, with TUI serving the most destinations. While the domestic Mexican route map from Cancun isn't as impressive as the US, it is far busier. And unsurprisingly, Mexico City's Benito Juarez Airport, not Felipe Angeles, was the busiest airport served from Cancun in 2025, with almost 1.6 million passengers. And just to put into perspective how crazy that is, the busiest route from Chicago O'Hare is New York LaGuardia, and in 2025, that route served 1.3 million passengers. The immense growth of low-cost airlines in Mexico has been a huge factor in domestic travel growing in the past 2 or so decades, especially thanks to airlines like Viva and Volaris, who are the 2 largest carriers at the airport. Our aircraft back to Chicago will be this Boeing 737 MAX 9, my first time flying one of United's. We were initially called on time for boarding, but soon after pre-boarding began, everyone was told to sit back down following a maintenance issue. As the captain explained, it was something related to how the aircraft computers were communicating with the landing gear systems, if I remember that correctly. But eventually the issue was resolved and we boarded around 40 minutes later, and I really appreciate the gate staff and the crew keeping us updated as they rectified the situation. With a business class ticket, I boarded in Group 1 and soon found my seat 5F. The most notable addition to these new seats is personal entertainment, but otherwise they're not much different from what you normally see on short-haul business class products. The seats feature storage cubbies under the armrests along with universal power, USB-A ports, and headphone jacks. The tray tables fold out from the center console, and I didn't expect this at all, but the entertainment systems also have individual remotes. Drink trays are also found on the center consoles, and pre-departure beverages were served in plastic cups, with water as my choice. Sanitizing wipes were handed out upon boarding, and just before pushback, everyone received a pair of earphones. I was glad to receive the wipes because the seat itself was not the cleanest. Not only that, but despite this aircraft being just under 3 years old, I could clearly tell that many parts of the seat were already suffering from wear and tear.
The doors are opened in an emergency. Slides will automatically inflate. In a water landing, forward door slides detach from the aircraft and serve as extra flotation.
Ensure your seatbelt is upright and your seatbelt is securely fastened. Please place your personal item under the seat in front of you. If you lose your phone or other device under a seat, ask a flight attendant.
Trying to predict the future is a hazardous occupation. The only thing that can be sure of is that it will be absolutely fantastic.
United's in-flight entertainment system is one of my favorites of any airline, with no shortage of content and a detailed moving map as well. Surprisingly and unfortunately, the screen at my seat was a little laggy and not as smooth in responsiveness. Sounds like a really harsh criticism, I agree, but if it wasn't for how new and young this aircraft was, I wouldn't have really commented on that otherwise. Now, even though earphones were distributed to all passengers, these new screens also have Bluetooth connectivity, so you can pair your wireless earbuds to the system. And given that I've finally gotten with the times and purchased AirPods of my own, I was able to pair them with the screen. Unfortunately, for some reason, the sound wouldn't come through, so I just gave up and used the earphones instead. And this is just an honorable mention to the remote control, which even though I didn't use, I was still really glad to see. The screens in economy class are all touchscreen only, so I guess that's why I never expected to see a remote in the premium cabin. Dinner service began shortly after reaching cruising altitude. To kick things off, hot towels were served, which I didn't record, and then a choice of drink, which was ginger ale for me, alongside some warm nuts. As for the meal service, there were two choices, chicken or pasta. I had actually pre-ordered the pasta on the app before the flight, but for some reason it wasn't prepared with the other dishes. Those who ordered the chicken, which was seemingly everyone else, were served their full trays. I, on the other hand, was served everything but the main course, which was still very much appreciated. There is a salad, some bread rolls and butter, and you could actually take as many rolls as you wanted from the bread basket, and a chocolate cake with some fruity filling as the dessert, which I'm trying to remember the name of but somehow can't. After about 15 minutes, the tomato pasta arrived, and it was good, but nothing extraordinary, which is basically how I feel about the whole dinner. Now, that's not to say that the crew weren't amazing. They were absolutely fantastic. They were very apologetic about my meal not being ready in time, and as a further apology, they offered me either $50 in credit or 2,500 miles of compensation for the meal being delayed. I chose the 2,500 miles compensation, which I received immediately after the flight, and I was able to submit my request on the flight attendant's tablet. Otherwise, the crew were very active the rest of the flight, coming around with water and offering beverages. Definitely the best set of United crew that I've ever had. if you've seen my previous episode on American, you'd know that I was initially supposed to fly to Brazil. My return ticket to Chicago was booked on United from Rio de Janeiro via Sao Paulo, and that was around $450 one way. Long story short, we changed plans to Cancun instead, and the one-way business class fare was just $20 more per person. In the moment, it seemed like a really great deal, but let me know what you all think, because this is how much this one-way flight cost. Now, the price difference from economy on this route was only around $120, so I figured that it'd be nice to pay $20 extra and treat my family to something different as well. But overall, it was a great flight, and I'm happy to be back in Chicago. This was my first time seeing Avelo Airlines here in Chicago, who recently shifted their operations from Midway to O'Hare. Now, I honestly have no idea how successful this flight to New Haven is, and I really don't see this route lasting much longer. Otherwise, immigration was a breeze this evening, and just like that, this trip has come to an end. More content is coming right up, so stay tuned. But until next time, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next one.